This, what you see behind me, is just a distraction from General Motors. They're coming out with these new trucks. Don't be distracted by that. I'm going to show you what's going on with their current vehicles and how they're really not taking care of customers when it comes to the 6.2 liter. And we have a new 3 liter Duramax 2026 that just failed in the Facebook groups. Let's dive in. I'm going to show you some of these failures. Okay, this first one is a 3 liter Duramax, a 2026. He said starting the GM buyback process in 2026, he's told he has to wait 7 to 10 business days for upper management to review his file. So let's look at some more 2026s. Kyle here says, my boss's 2026 blew up on the interstate, 13,193 miles. The guy in the comments says, are we really surprised at this point? This is old news. We all know GM is officially the worst so-called American Chinese manufacturer. And I'm finally seeing people catch on. 2021 is when they started the recall. People saying, I cannot believe anyone would buy this POS 6.2 liter. GM is building nothing but junk nowadays. They don't all fail, but boy, the odds of you having a problem with the 6.2 are extremely high at this point. And here is yet another one. Now, folks always ask me, should I buy a used one? What years are really good? Well, this is a 2024. Donnie here says another one bites the dust. 2024 6.2, 33,000 miles, catastrophic engine failure. Not under the recall. Build date of July 2024. So you're going to see this happen a lot where the cutoff date for this recall was May of 2024, I believe. So they're not covered under the recall. Now they'll still get a new engine because it's under standard warranty, but come on, GM, step up all the way up through 2026. They should be recalled. And truthfully, I don't think they should be allowed to sell the 2026s that are sitting on the lot with the 6.2 liter. I think there should be a stop sale. It's ridiculous that there's not. Oh, and this is August 9th. All of these are going to be within just the last few weeks. You know what doesn't smell like manure though? The sponsor of this video, Wolfbox. If you are in the market for a dash cam that also has a front camera and a rear camera, the G900 Tri-Pro is an awesome solution from Wolfbox. You get front, rear, and really a nice camera built into the rear view mirror. Great for off-roading situations like you see here. You can actually mount that camera there on the license plate. You could mount it underneath on your skid plates if you'd prefer to see where your front tires or rear tires are. You do have hands-free voice control, which is really nice. You don't have to reach up and touch it and scroll around on the screen while you're driving. And probably my favorite feature of this is that you can just turn this rearview mirror off. It still records in the background, so you can use this rearview mirror just as a standard rearview mirror. The nighttime footage looks excellent. And best of all, everything is stored locally on an SD card, not uploaded to the cloud, which I personally prefer. Check out the G900 Tri-Pro if you're looking for an off-road camera or just a nice dash camera with some extra bonus features with that front and rear camera. There should be discount codes in the description. Check them out. Now back to the video. And this might be the most unique failure I've seen all year. And it's interesting. I figured people out there might want to know this. This guy probably thought he was getting a decent deal. He said, the engine on my 2026 pickup seized at 2,500 miles. GM won't fix it because it has a rebuilt title. Any recommendations? So for those of you who don't know, if you've got a rebuilt title, it voids the warranty, and then people think, oh gosh, since the 25s and the 26s are still failing, this should be under a safety recall, so it shouldn't matter, but that's not the case. GM's only recalling up through the 2024s, so you get these weird situations like this where someone, maybe they took a hit, they're like, well, I'll buy this for a lot cheaper, maybe it got into an accident, and with these newer vehicles, shoot, you could get rear-ended in them and not have anything on the front end affected, and they might total the vehicle out anymore because of all the sensors and everything else. And I do feel bad for some of these people. Here's one. This person said they got their 2026 High Country back on Monday, the 10th. It's been gone for almost 2 months. We had 12,000 miles on it. It was a very sudden breakdown. All of these are. It just kind of comes out of nowhere. Here's the problem. I'm praying it doesn't happen again. Look, hey, I pray too, but Jesus doesn't really care about your 6.2 liter engine, unfortunately. I would be nervous about it. Now, here's what it sounded like just before catastrophic failure. So you guys will notice that ticking sound. I've heard people and seen people in the comments say, no, that's direct injection. That's not what it sounds like before it fails. This person is sort of confirming that maybe non-rhythmic tick that isn't consistent, that little bit of metallic knock that you hear, that's how it starts. Kind of in the tundras too. It almost sounds like direct injection, but if you really listen closely, you can tell a difference. Here's another poor gentleman. 14 hours ago, he said he bought his wife a 2021 High Country in April with 84,000 miles because they were expecting their firstborn in November. Just take a listen to this at 88,000 miles. Yeah, he's probably cooked, unfortunately. Someone in the comments said, fill it with 15 W40 and trade it in. Yeah, that's probably about all you could do. He does have an extended warranty, though. And this one caught my attention as well. I wonder if GM's trying to maybe manipulate the owners a little bit with failure or root cause failure. This guy had a 2023 Yukon 6.2. So it had engine failure on the side of the interstate in Montgomery, Alabama, left him and his family of 6 stranded for several hours while they were on their way back from Arkansas. So he received the call yesterday from service stating that it did not fall under the L87 recall. He's being told that the failure was from the lifters. So he has 67,000 miles. He's told, sorry, you're over the 60,000 mile powertrain warranty. Oh, and by the way, this we don't think this was the crankshaft. So can you imagine? I mean, you could have a crankshaft fail, probably debris and everything come up inside the engine and just destroy everything. I mean, you guys probably watch channels of these engine teardowns, and the engines are just trashed. It's really difficult to find root cause once you have a crankshaft that blows up and bearings go everywhere. Man, I would fight this. If I was Tyler, I would definitely fight this. I would lawyer up in this scenario at this point. A 2023 with this 6.2, what are the odds of it being lifters over a crankshaft? And I saw this post, and in this video, I have to award Pat Hayden for the Max Cope Award for General Motors. Pat Hayden says, don't listen to the internet crap. The 6.2 is a fine motor. 3% of engines have issues. He says that as if 3% of 500,000 is a good thing. Even if that number were true, and it was only 3%. That is a massive number of engine failures. There are other people under there. Kathy Gill said, well, we're on our 3rd engine, so I find that hard to believe. This is so insane. Don't buy this platform. Don't buy a 6.2. And here's someone that actually got some legal counsel and won. She says, I'm out. 2 new engines, a lawsuit, a settlement with GM, to a trade-in finally. Y'all stay safe with this POS. And there are some people, this is on August 2nd, guy just got a buyback on his 26 Sierra Denali 1500. That is an expensive vehicle. He says, GM just agreed to buy back my 2026 1500. Engine seized at 2,864 miles. And if you guys are wondering, he says he did go through a lemon law lawyer, the BBB, and made multiple public posts on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. You know, this publicity, this negative publicity, it's funny. It could completely go away for GM if they just built things with a little more quality, but they don't want to because their shareholders are the most important thing. Now, I thought many of you would like to know this. It's a little bit disappointing to me because I was hoping that the 3-liter Duramax was maybe through these problems. They're not failing as much as the 6.2-liter, but it's still disappointing. The last NHTSA failure, this is on my website, thecarguyonline.com. The 3-liter Duramax engine failure on this 2026 had 6,700 miles, and that was in January 4th, 2026. So I still can't really say I would recommend these engines, but they're still better than the 6.2, if that means anything. And I thought this was interesting. It was a Facebook post by a former career GM Master Tech. This guy worked for GM for 40 years, at least he claims to, and writes this story about how, you know, his perception from like a customer perspective is that they just do the bare minimum for a $100,000 vehicle, and that's just really falling short. He goes on to say towards the bottom that using GM tools, GM software, GM procedures under GM policy, and being paid what GM was willing to pay for expert level diagnostics and repair for 40 years, the bare minimum that GM lives by is never enough. He's essentially telling people, he says, I wish everyone the best of luck with this situation. I hope this makes you think a little bit more about your vehicle purchase. He's just trying to implore people to consider another brand or maybe even just another powertrain, but he really is, he writes a scathing sort of review about GM and just what it was like working with them. Will this new version, this new 2027 with the 5.7 liter and the 6.6 liter, as you see there, will they solve their issues? Will they be reliable again, like, you know, maybe pre-2020 General Motors engines? I mean, for all the problems they had with lifters and other things, they did used to make very reliable vehicles. The old 6 liters, the 5.3s in the kind of 2010 era, and really the 6.2 liters early on were fairly reliable. It's just sad to see that they've gone so far with the cost cutting, that this is where we are, where something starts in 2021 with a recall and it goes to 2024, and really we're still seeing the 2026s come in day after day after day in Facebook groups, NHTSA posts. It is truly wild. I really can't imagine why anyone would want to buy one of these things after seeing, you know, my videos or other people's videos. It's just so dangerous to buy one. And then you're stuck. If you get into something like this, it gets on the Carfax. There are just so many negative things about it once the engine goes, even if you do get a replacement. So curious to hear your guys' thoughts. Let me know in the comments. As always, thanks for watching. Till next time.